There was just a reef. There was a main island in the middle, but it completely sank, and these islands will sink one day. Right. So that's why these reefs pop up. It's starting to sink, and then all you're going to have are these atolls, and this reef, literally this reef, this dissipate completely around what existed one day, which was this island.
Wow.
When I was a child, I would have a reoccurring dream. I would see a city on the water, and it seems that that dream is one step more of a reality today.
Notre océan et le peuple polynésien sont liés de manière quasi génétique. Les Polynésiens ont fait face à des changements. Ils se sont adaptés, ils ont voyagé et habité de longs mois, voire plusieurs années sur cet océan nourrissi. Ne pas faire le parallèle avec les défis que les peuples polynésiens auront à relever dans les prochaines décennies avec la montée des eaux. Nous l'avons bien compris, ce projet porte des promesses de développement et d'adaptation durable pour une adéquation à notre environnement qui est en mutation constante. Il apparaît par conséquent essentiel de conduire ces recherches pour que des solutions pérennes puissent émerger pour notre avenir, pour l'avenir de cette partie du Pacifique.
Mr. President, thank you. We appreciate you having us here in your country. And while building floating islands and floating cities is a giant undertaking, if we act pragmatically and we take one step forward every day, I'm confident we can do it.
Seasteading is a long-term vision that on the seas will have a marketplace for government because people will live on their own homes, they can sail easily and more fluidly from one location to the next, choosing their societies and choosing their governments. In the near term, though, what we're doing at Blue Frontiers and the Seasteading Institute is trying just to take the very first step, which is actually to work with the government and to do that near shore in protected waters, having a collaboration with a local government, because we know that it's just terribly difficult to go out there and be isolated. Back in September, we made an agreement with the government of French Polynesia to be able to bring the first floating island project here to Tahiti. And we, as quickly as we could, put together a program where we wanted to bring supporters of seasteading down to Tahiti so that they could meet the Polynesians and the Polynesians could meet us.
The Wi-Fi is Seasteading 1. Seasteading.
You said maybe it's a global consciousness. So here it is 5 years later. Now we're working together and we're doing it in French Polynesia. This is a huge moment. So let me hand this to you properly.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, I wanted to. Thanks.
Sorry it took so long.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
I was on a cruise ship, and I was fascinated that it was the highest standard of living I'd ever had. And one night on the cruise ship was cheaper than one night in a coastal hotel the night before. I also noticed various people from the developing world were working there, and they shared my sense that this was really exciting, like we're living better by being on this cruise ship. And I couldn't figure out how I could be living like a wealthy American and how they could be living like a middle-class waiter. And instead of enjoying myself, I was walking around doing back-of-the-napkin calculations, like, why does this work better than any city I've ever been in? Then about 6 weeks later, I was at my 10th Burning Man, where I met Patri Friedman.
It was at Burning Man where our founder, Patri Friedman, was wandering around when he came up with the idea for seasteading. Patri, the grandson of Nobel Prize economist Milton Friedman, mesmerized by the dynamism of a city that changed each year, where everybody's homes are tents and people could more easily choose who they associated with, imagined that on the sea, if all of our homes floated and we could sail between locations, we could more easily choose our associations and societies.
That would be variation by governments and selection by residents. Variation and selection is the secret recipe for progress. I'd just written a book about evolution. It's not you, it's biology, the science of love, sex, and relationships. And I'd come to understand how that's how progress happens. And I suddenly realized this is completely technologically doable, and this would in principle unleash, as Patri put it, a Cambrian explosion of governments. And I became addicted to that idea. I think one of the most important services in the world is governance, and it doesn't work well if we have monopolies over them. If we could have more choice, more proliferations, the ones that don't work go out of business, the ones that do work flourish. The only mechanism that matters is that people can choose among them. And whatever emerges will completely defy our ideologies and arguments now. I've been waiting 6 years for somebody to explain to me what's wrong with that idea, and I still haven't heard it. I really think this could work.
L'édito d'Alexandre Taliercio avec EPPV.
Suite au Conseil des ministres d'hier, on apprenait que le président Fritsch venait d'être mandaté afin de signer un protocole d'entente avec l'organisation non gouvernementale californienne Seasteading Institute. Cette ONG veut construire des villes sur l'eau, des plateformes reliées entre elles, des petits paradis technologiques, mais pas seulement. Chaque ville flottante serait donc un micro-État avec ses propres lois, son propre modèle de gouvernement, mais surtout sa propre fiscalité. Ce projet qui sent la science-fiction n'est pas destiné qu'aux technophiles rêveurs. Parmi les financiers de cet institut, et il en est aussi le co-créateur, Peter Thiel, fondateur avec Elon Musk de la solution de paiement en ligne PayPal. Ce n'est pas un enfant de cœur. Si par son activité l'étiquette libérale lui colle à la peau, il se trouve qu'il est en train de passer à la vitesse supérieure avec ce projet totalement libertariste. Le libertarisme, qu'est-ce que c'est ? C'est une philosophie politique qui correspond à une manière de concevoir la société où chaque individu verrait sa liberté d'acquérir placée au premier plan sans limite. On y prône aussi la disparition de l'État au profit d'une organisation basée sur la coopération. Ok, on met le doigt sur une communauté hippie New Age de milliardaires qui préfèrent fuir leur pays plutôt que de participer à l'effort national en y payant leurs impôts. C'est du propre. Car figurez-vous que ce Seasteading Institute veut que la Polynésie transforme ce projet de ville flottante en zone franche, totalement exonérée de taxes. Je vois déjà venir les râleurs. Il ne faut pas critiquer chaque initiative et patati et patata. Non, je suis bien d'accord, mais être à la fois circonspect et attentif quant à un projet aux ambitions faussement humanistes qui occulte mal les motivations bassement fiscales sans que plus de garanties ne nous soient données, on a le droit de douter.
C'était l'édito d'Alexandre Taliercio avec EPPV polynésien depuis plus de 50 ans.
We will first develop a few pilot islands. And when our pilot project is proven successful economically and environmentally, we aim to develop a brand new industry that will export floating islands around the South Pacific to the Tuamotus and to neighbors who are losing their islands to rising sea levels. And it will bring new opportunities and new wealth. And our obligation to French Polynesia, under the agreement we signed in January, states that we will conduct an environmental assessment to ensure that we do not hurt the environment, and that we will conduct legal research to provide guidance to the government on how to legally create a special economic sea zone with its own special governing framework. If we're successful, this will be a win-win for the Seasteaders and the Polynesians.
Ladies and gentlemen, please big applause to our friend Randy and Kim. Thank you, Randy.
I'm a libertarian, and for my entire life I've wanted to save the world. I have a PhD in nuclear engineering. First of all, I was going to save the world with fusion power, because with unlimited energy, you could desalt seawater, pump it to the deserts, take fertilizer out, take your garbage and bring it back to raw materials. I was really excited about saving the world, but I didn't. I probably was about 12, 13 years old, and I found out about taxes. And my father said we had to pay taxes. I can definitely still remember. He said, we got to go pay our taxes. And I said, why do we have to pay taxes? Oh, he says, well, we got to fund the army, we got to fund roads, we got to have to have welfare, the government has to do all these things. And I just simply thought, that's not right. That's just not right. So I saw in seasteading an opportunity to create systems, and they do not necessarily have to be libertarian, but systems where people could live in harmony together with their own belief system. And I thought, oh, maybe these guys will have something going for them, and that we actually can create these freedom movements.
I probably spent too much time thinking about this, actually. Probably too much time. Even to become a volunteer, I mean, you really can't just like randomly walk up and be like, hey, I want to do this, and she's going to sign to that. It's more like you have to show that like you know not only a lot about seasteading, but a lot about this area you want to help. I work at Toyota Financial Services. I build financial models, economic capital models. So I do a lot of financial programming and quantitative modeling for my regular job. Probably what got me into seasteading and what informs a lot of my political views is the idea of voting with your feet, be able to exit. It's huge because the basic democratic system I don't think is very effective.
Fundamentally, I really care about people. I care about justice. And I think that we're trying to find a system that promotes that. I have more faith today in individuals making choices outside of the box to change humanity than I have that by us electing the better official we're going to change humanity.
If we are starting from scratch, why do the same thing that's been done before? You know, what can we, and we're not totally starting from scratch, but we are starting a new society.
You know, it's volunteerism. You know, if I voluntarily choose to associate with you, if I voluntarily say I want to live on a kibbutz with you, if I voluntarily say I'd rather be on a little floating island with people that I find interesting, it's a whole different thing than being told we're going to take your tax money and we're going to build these giant war machines and we're going to bomb people dead, right? I mean, this is the worst thing that can be done with my value. So trying to exit from that is important.
Seasteading is the technology to vote with your house. If you don't like something, you can detach and move somewhere else. In the market, I don't vote on all of us getting one kind of ice cream. And I hate vanilla and I want chocolate, and 51% vote for vanilla, and then I have to only have vanilla for 4 years. This isn't choice. It's pretending that we have choice. In a real world of choice, we would have as many flavors as we want. We have the power to choose among them. And then the ice cream providers have to hustle to please us because their flavors will go out of business if they don't provide something we like. And I'm from the United States. Americans agree on nothing. The one thing we do agree on is that the current system is not working and nobody is happy. Steve Wozniak did not change Hewlett-Packard from the inside. It's always better to break away and try something new than press a little lever in a booth and hope that the world does what you want.
We presented yesterday to the government. It was very well received. As Seasteaders, we're trying to get beyond politics, but the reality of working with a host nation means we are in politics. One of the positives for seasteading, working with a host nation, is that we get to outsource these larger security concerns. I mean, still being a part of French Polynesia, we're not in pirated waters. We're going to be like basically a sub-state of this state. So we don't have to worry about some foreign nation choosing to come and conquer us here. So her question is, when we're not part of French Polynesia, and I'm just going to really defer this question because it's so long-term. I mean, when we get to that point, go to where there's not pirated waters, have your own guns, etc. and so forth, but you don't need to worry about it.
But basically, you're still going to be governed by French Polynesian and French law except for whatever deals you can work out tax-wise, economic-wise, but civil-wise, you're going to be under their jurisdiction.
For managing expectations, we will have a lot of leeway in business law, civil law, and regulations. We probably won't have much leeway in criminal law.
I'm a futurist Republican. I'm involved in natural resources. We have just over control, bureaucratic control over anything and everything we want to do. And not only in business, but in our personal lives also.
Do you see yourself living on Seastead?
Do I see as part-time?
Yeah.
Part-time, yeah. She's not sure.
That's why I'm setting up. I'm letting her do all that.
She's not convinced yet.
So what do you think about the conference, babe?
I am really excited about the conference. I like the diversity of people, and it's been good talking to the wives actually, because I'm not necessarily a seasteader, and seasteaders like really into seasteading and they want to like really talk to you about it intensely. If you want to get the wives to possibly move here, that, you know, us having some kind of bond together will increase those odds.
You say that in some kind of way as if there's only male seasteaders.
There's a lot of male seasteaders.
Sure, it's been male heavy. I've been having some meetings back in San Francisco with just women. I said I want to hear from the Seasteaders what they would want on the Seastead to make it more appealing. Some of the things are pretty awesome and wild. I don't know if we'll implement them. You know, could you have a regulatory situation that made women more powerful? Like one of my friends, she's proposing ectopregnancy, is what it's called.
What is that?
Basically, test tube babies.
History is rife with stories of men forging new frontiers and then belatedly noticing the women haven't followed. Nobody wants to move to the Seastead and find a bunch of guys and no women moving out there. So we're already thinking about this. How do we make it appealing to women? And you know, I'm talking to artists that want to make a beautiful female statue and call it Floating Woman. But that's the challenge we have to rise to.
Je ne comprends pas la mouche qui pique le gouvernement avec ce projet d'île flottante. Est-ce du génie visionnaire ou de la mégalomanie?
C'est un peu en ces termes que l'on doit se poser la question, parce que forcément ce genre d'annonce surprend au premier abord. J'y avais déjà consacré une chronique futuriste où j'imaginais le quotidien sur une cité flottante basée en Polynésie. Mais on peut aussi prendre le problème autrement et réfléchir un peu plus sérieusement. Seasteading Institute avait proposé le même projet au Honduras qui s'y était opposé et avait finalement refusé. Donc une roue de secours, la Polynésie. Et là, dès qu'on fait miroiter n'importe quel développement économique, on ouvre les portes, on déroule le tapis rouge. C'est l'impression que ça donne en tout cas. Et bon, allez, à supposer que ça se fasse, je vous laisse quelques secondes pour booster votre imagination. À supposer que ça se fasse, pensez-vous qu'on accueillerait sur ces cités flottantes des migrants, des naufragés climatiques, des Iliens polynésiens expropriés, des logements sociaux, ou plutôt des nantis et des milliardaires? On reproche souvent aux gouvernements locaux successifs de ne pas appliquer le fameux précepte d'Émile de Girardin, gouverner c'est prévoir. Et lorsqu'un gouvernement se met à prévoir un chantier, on tombe carrément dans la science-fiction, voire la mégalomanie. En même temps, on nous promet le prototype pour l'année prochaine, donc on va vite savoir si c'est une réalité ou une utopie.
To all of you tonight, welcome, Your Honor.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe myself at this point. Definitely conservative or right wing, I'd say. Yeah, NRX, kind of reactionary thought is pretty big influence on me. I was actually born in a commune in Chicago. It's called JPUSA, Jesus People USA. So it's a Christian commune. And they like try and live like Jesus lived, like before he got, taken out. Very dense living, communal eating. They had a lot of young people. So they had basically like one industry that basically everyone did and made like 99% of the profit. It's like roofing and moving. And now it's selling roofing materials. So like they're ultra export oriented. One industry in the commune makes up like 95% of the profit. That's probably what it's gonna end up being in the seasteading too. Like 20% of the industries make up like 80% of the profit. And we're gonna import a huge amount of stuff. I used to be more liberal when I was younger, especially early on in college.
Did an experience happen, or did you have like
there was one critical experience that happened actually. I got charged with sexual harassment at my university under Title IX because I had a party at my house. The party was called Frat Bros and Navajos. Navajo is spelled N-A-V-A space H-O-E-S. I never actually had the party. But they were willing to drop the charges if I canceled it. Literally the only claim of sexual harassment has had the word hose in it. So I had a very intense interaction with all the feminists, like the institutional feminists at Chapman that have power and the ability to like shut things down and charge people. After that, it was basically like a downward spiral away from being very liberal. It was just, really what changed was just the media that I consumed and the books that I read. So I just couldn't read these left-wing books anymore. I just had to like put it down. So I just had a change in tastes. Discord, Reddit.
What subreddits?
I don't know how much I should talk about this, but so some of them are pretty sketchy. But actually, NRX is. I would say it's based on the Dark Enlightenment. Hans Hermann Hoppe talked about he was against democracy. He was like, I think he said the end of democracy. He wrote a paper on that. Charles Murray, the bell curve, a lot of like recent science that's been coming out on genetics and transhumanism and that kind of stuff. Different issues like that. Just kind of like things that are kind of being suppressed at the university level, like you would never talk about. Even something simple like what I just said about democracy. Like as society gets more and more diverse, the distribution is going to fan out, and the distance from the median voter is going to get higher and higher. There's going to be more and more problems and conflict. And if you actually look at if you try and put Americans' political views on the spectrum, isn't even like a distribution that's getting thin. It's like there's two groups, these two humps. And in the middle, there's basically nothing.
How do you avoid that on the Seastead, though? This is what I don't get.
I want to try different things. I want to experiment, see what works. And I'm happy with other people doing things that aren't like my society. I don't believe in like a universal system for everyone in that way. Like everyone's gonna have a system that's probably better for them. In Caleb's world, it's more like a board, like an oligarchy kind of thing, where it's people who represent different areas, different interests in the greater city, maybe like 7 or 8, have voting rights essentially, and they decide everything. That might become very similar to the corporate model, like a board of directors hiring a CEO. I mean, I don't know how innovative things might be. Like there might be something we don't see coming, especially with a lot of more technology, ability to just kind of like have government functions be algorithms essentially. That's Patrick Reardon's big idea. He thinks that law is like software. So as much as if they can be coded beforehand and capped with the Constitution, that would solve a lot of problems.
Seasteaders dreamed of a magical place that would fulfill all of our requirements, and we imagined this place before we knew about it. Mark Collins reached out to us and invited us to come visit so he could show us that French Polynesia had everything we need. And if I may quote from what he said back at the beginning, more than most nations, our islands are impacted by rising sea levels, and resilient floating islands could be one tangible solution for us to maintain our populations anchored to their islands. For many Polynesians, leaving our islands is not an option. I feature something in my book about Westerners moving west on the western frontier and trying new societies and discovering how democracy works. Polynesians moved east on the blue frontier, sparking an evolutionary process that created a kind of spiritual wealth, a very special culture we're all experiencing right here. French Polynesia controls an area the size of Western Europe. You want to talk about a new world? This is the undiscovered continent, and I think it's time to draw a new map of the world with French Polynesia as the center of it. We don't have to start big. We can start very small, just 3 little practice islands, to demonstrate that this will be beautiful and prosperous and make Polynesians proud. And we don't need any money. We'll pay for it ourselves. We only ask for your hospitality and your blessing. We can't do it without you. You are our hosts. Maru Roa. Thank you for listening.